Sup, you chuckle fucks? It's your boy Dark Raku here with What If Issei Was a Vessel to the Elite Sternritters, Part 1. So this is actually supposedly the one that I was supposed to make after the Gojo one, instead of all the other ones. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna continue on with the other ones, like the Menace one, or the what's it called, mostly Shigaraki one, because I'm gonna continue those, but not the point. Well, yeah, I'm gonna continue them on. Doesn't matter. I also wanted to make another one, but that one will probably be later. I wouldn't say it'd be after this one because this one might be taking a little bit longer than I think about it. Maybe, yeah. But of course, the other one is going to be him being a Demon Slayer. But if you never have seen Demon Slayer, I mean, it's kind of mid to me, but I like some of the effects, even though it's supposed to be not real, the effects, which still doesn't make fucking sense to me at all. But you know what? I don't care. In my opinion, it's mid. I don't know. The storyline was so confusing in the manga for me. And when I read it, I got fucking lost. I was like Zoro looking for the fucking plot of this whole fucking anime, but yeah. But not the point. I might have just gave up and just went to One Piece and just read that for a good chunk of the point when I was in the manga. But not the point. Now you just begin into this what if. Let me shut the fuck up. So yeah. If you do not know what the Elite Sternritters are, well, the Elite Sternritters are, well, mostly little burial. Mostly this guy, I forgot his name, but I know he has the power of miracle. Him, and him. Well, I'm not him exactly, but I forget their names. God, I really have to search them up. But later I'll do that. But mostly this guy is an elite, that guy's an elite. This guy's just the same as this one. I don't know why I got two pictures. Uryu was considered to be an elite. And of course, I know Gremmy is not an elite. He's just someone that is kind of feared. I know he has the power of visionary, which allows him, it's just imagination, to bring into reality. But that's not the point here or there. Also, Joe Graham was an elite because Joe Graham is the one who has B and A. Well, mostly he doesn't have A, but he has it when, well, mostly Yuhaba is sleeping. But not the point. Yes, Joe Graham here is going to have somewhat the almighty. He's just going to have the power to see into the future, not to alternate it with his desires. He's just going to come up with plans in the near future. But yeah, literally. But not the point. He is still going to have balance, but yeah. And also what I mean when he's the elite Sternritter, so yeah, he will have all of the Sternritter's kind of abilities, like their powers or other things, their letters, and yeah, you get the point, right? But other than that, let me begin. Am I missing any other elite Sternritters? I might talk to mostly Singular, well, yes, Singularity, for mostly if I'm missing any of them, because when I upload this, man, it's just going to pop out of nowhere. Probably. Let's just hope. Oh, maybe. I don't know. But let me just begin to this. Damn, what if I'm actually going to keep rambling on. But yeah. This is where, well, we begin into mostly a brownish haired boy. Right now, kind of walking from school, back home, to school, back home, back to school. Yeah, you see here. He's deciding if he should go home or he should just stay at school. But this kid is only the age of like 6 years old. But this kid is kind of intelligent for being a 6-year-old. Or not a 6-year-old, he's an 8-year-old. But he's kind of intelligent. 2 years ago, he wouldn't be that intelligent. But mostly when he was 6 years old, he had a friend named Iron. Well, supposedly with Irina, but it was Iron. And no, I'm not gender bending it to be a guy. It's actually a girl. But yeah, he just thought it was a boy because of a tomboy act. But yeah. But this is where, well, mostly she had to move away, but this is where Issei was depressed for 2 years and decides to, instead of being depressed, he would try to become smarter. Maybe he will finally figure out how to go to Irina's or Iron's kind of place. But yeah, this is where, well, mostly he went to actually become a little bit smarter. Of course, after like 2 years, he became smarter than normal. He started kind of reading kind of like, he was at the level of literally high school at that point. But this is where, well, mostly he never showed his parents, but mostly he just wanted to be left alone a little bit because he was also depressed from the fact that just his best friend, the only friend he ever had, left him. But yeah. But of course, well, mostly he was kind of thinking of going home or school, home, school, home. But even though he's an 8-year-old, he knows where to go back home or he can go to the store and go play in the toy section or whatever because he's still a child. So of course he still acts like a child. He's not fully an adult just yet. But this is where, well, mostly he was like, where should I go? His voice was so young and cheerful a little bit, not much. But this is where, well, he was thinking, maybe if I go home, mom and dad are going to question why I went back. Maybe I should tell them that school got canceled. Yeah, that'd be a great idea. But then again, they'll be kind of coming back here and then telling me that I should go to school and they will be doing something. That's where, well, mostly he's just thinking, maybe I should go to school, but I don't want to deal with any of the kids. No, I don't like them. They're so mean half the time. This is where, well, the 8-year-old kind of says, maybe I should. He noticed the ice cream van right now just rolling by him. He says, ice cream. He realized he had some money on him just to buy some food, but this is where, well, he said, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. He runs straight toward the ice cream van. But yeah, you get the point. This is where, well, we go into mostly a time skip of when he gets to the ice cream van. Now, of course, for some reason, he's always been so energetic to the point where he can run for miles and miles and miles, and no one never ever stop him. For some reason, he's always able to tap into this weird energy, but he never understand what this weird energy was. This is where, well, he gets to the ice cream van, and of course, he sees the ice cream man being this, like, raspy-ass dude, kind of serving some, like, little girls about ice cream and telling them, well, I don't really have ice cream. I mean, you can go inside my van to check where it will be at. This is where, well, for some reason, Issei got this weird vision that mostly this man isn't just, like, trying to, like, give them free ice cream. He's trying to literally kidnap him. He saw into the future, which he got annoyed, but of course, he was confused more often with the fact that he saw something like that. He was confused, but shook it off, and went up to mostly, well, to a freaking, well, some workers, like, tools. They left over mostly, it was near the park, but mostly, they left some tools over because they were, like, building something. And this is where, well, Issei had a very evilish, sinister grin on his face when he saw some of the tools. He saw one of the tools, well, mostly it's a wire that was plugged in, but of course didn't really have the kind of, like, connection, kind of connected to any, like, wire or any of that. Or, yeah, any of that. Mostly any, like, equipment. But this is where, well, he decides to grab it and decides to sneak into, well, where the ice cream man was at. This is where, well, the ice cream man says, come on, you know, you want some ice cream? This is where the girls were a little bit unnerved. They seem to be quite beautiful in Issei's opinion. But this is where, well, mostly Issei shakes his head off of it. This is where he climbed into the ice cream van without the guy even noticing. And of course, the mostly wire that he was holding on to was pretty shocking and would have hurt any 8-year-old. But it wasn't hurting Issei because Issei was holding on to the insulation part. This is where, well, mostly he walked up to the guy, and the guy didn't actually have pants. Well, mostly the pants looked like they were falling down. And he had a sinister grin because he saw a crack in this guy's ass. And this is where, well, he just decided to shove it in. This is where, well, he shoved the wire into this man's ass. And of course, since the freaking plug, it's still plugged into literally this, like, mostly, like, 30 amps kind of, like, voltage kind of, like, mostly, plug, because it's 30 amps, not 20. Mostly, it is 20 for normal households, but items with this place where they were working at was either 30 or 50, which Issei couldn't really tell, but he guessed it was probably 50. This man right now light up like a goddamn Christmas tree. Bzz, 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 bzz. Like, you can see his goddamn skeleton bones and other things. This man like, like, he couldn't even scream because this man, like, literally got a wire shoved up his ass. This is where, well, mostly he could not do any. This is where, well, mostly Issei, he kind of ignored the guy for a second. Like, he could have took out the wire, but this is where, well, he decides to check if this guy had ice cream, which he had plenty of ice cream. Decides to pick up the ice cream, like lots of ice cream, starts kind of walking out, and this guy was going, this is where, well, man was getting just turned into a Christmas tree at this point. This is where Issei didn't really care too much because he is kind of sinister half the time. But before he even gets to leave, the girl says, hey, you. This is where, well, mostly Issei kind of says, shit, I got caught. This is where, well, he turns around to see the girls who were actually supposed to be about to get kidnapped, but mostly they just saw the guy went, it's literally lightning, which the guy is still not dead for some reason, but he probably is, but who really knows. And this says, what is that in your hand? This is where Issei said, yeah, paper? This is where Issei had the best idea just to say paper. One of them said. A girl with mostly kind of like bluish hair and kind of like, well, mostly icy blue hair with mostly icy blue eyes with snowy white skin kind of said, paper, you said. Sure, we believe you. This is where, well, the other girls kind of look kind of a little bit annoyed, but a little giggling because they know that mostly Issei doesn't actually have paper. This is where, well, mostly the other person that was there was actually a girl with kind of greenish hair, greenish eyes, and kind of similar to that of like palish skin like the other one. But this where, well, she kind of acts like a little bit like a tomboy somewhat. But this where, well, she kind of smiles knowing that Issei is just trying to take the ice cream all the way for himself. This where, well, mostly the last one was a girl with mostly blondish hair, like blondish hair to two pigtails. And this where, well, she had palish blue eyes with palish skin. And this where, well, she was kind of grinning because she actually liked the satisfaction of that guy kind of getting tased like hell. This is where, well, mostly, Issei said, I have just, a paper ice cream plastic. This is where, well, mostly the girl kind of with bluish hair took one of the kind of like lollipops or mostly the popsicle out of mostly Issei's hand. And Issei says, hey! This is where, well, she decides to unwrap it, and this is where, well, she decides to take a bite of it. Or mostly, you get the point, took it, but not the point. Or, yeah, just take a bite of it. But this is where, well, she was actually mostly 2 years older than mostly Issei. She was actually 20. While the other two were actually similar, the same age as Issei, being 8. But yeah. This is where, well, the 10-year-old says, huh, paper. Why does paper taste like sweet ice cream? This is where Issei right now goes, there's more ice cream inside? This is where he points at the van. This is where the guy is already fried over. He fell over, right now turned to ash. This is where, well, the bluish hair girl says, that is true, but you're the one who actually kind of did all this plan. You know this is illegal, right? This is where, well, she tries to kind of look at mostly the 8-year-old. Issei looks at this and say, well, about that, so there was other people kind of coming over to see what was happening, and that's where, well, a girl with kind of longish blonde hair and of course kind of greenish eyes kind of says, yo, Junko, Candace, and even Estef, what are you guys doing? This is where, well, the blondish hair kind of just waved. She kind of had longish blondish hair, not much, but this is where, well, she was just waving at them. This is where another girl kind of seemed a little bit tired, but this is where she had kind of longish black, well, not longish, kind of short black hair with one kind of like a red highlight, mostly hairline, like red kind of like streaks, similar to that. Like, think of it like Zenobia from DXT, but not the point. This is where, well, she had one, but it wasn't kind of like down her head. It was kind of like going to the side, but yeah. This is where she had blue eyes, and this is where, well, she was yawning a little bit, saying, what is happening out here? This is where, well, mostly Estef, who was actually the blue hair girl, said, oh, we were interrogating this little kid. Wait, where the hell did he go? This is where Issei ran like, yeah. Run. He might have dropped some ice cream and just fucking ran for it. Yeah, he's gone. This is where, well, mostly Estef kind of just grins a little bit, thinking that the little boy was actually cute as hell. But of course, she can be a little bit saddened from the fact that he ran like hell for it. This is where, well, mostly Candace says, you know, we can always find him. You know that, Estef? Estef says, that is true, but it's better not to scare the hell out of him when we find him. Junko pouts and says, aw, I actually liked him. Oh, did someone have a little crush on someone? This is where both Estef and Candace actually made fun of mostly Junko. Junko blushes and looks away and says, no, that's not what I said. This is where, well, mostly they laugh, and this is where, well, the other two girls kind of appear. This is where, well, Estef kind of says, oh, what's it called? This is where Estef says, aw, Katsuragi and Ryuko, why did you ruin our fun? It was fun teasing him. This is where, well, mostly Ryuko says, we gotta go back to school, and Katsuragi over here decides to scream out your names because you guys went to go get ice cream. So where's the ice cream? Inside that van. Where's the owner? That's what Ryuko kind of said. Ryuko is actually mostly the age of 9 years old. She's a little bit older than mostly some of them, except for Estef, who's actually 10. This is where, well, mostly Well, SM says, well, you see here, we will explain a little bit what kind of might have happened. This is where, oh, you go kind of know her eyes and says, what happened? This is where, this is where before they can even talk, a girl with kind of longish, kind of purplish hair, well, not longish, purplish hair, someone who's actually seemed to be kind of like 16 at least, appeared. This is where, well, she has kind of purplish hair, kind of darker skin, and yellowish eyes. She then noticed the kind of 5 girls and says, what are you all doing here? Didn't I tell you to go back to school? This is where, well, she appeared with kind of lightning crackling off her body. And this is where they say, Yoriichi-san. This is where, well, they all bow down and say, we went to just get ice cream. Yoriichi says, ice cream? So where's the ice cream owner? This is where, well, mostly SF points into the fan and says, that's what happened. This is where, well, Yoriichi says, who did this to him? Well, he was a kidnapper. He tried to kidnap us until some kid with brownish hair and brownish eyes, with goldenish brown eyes, kind of just did that to him while taking some ice cream running away. Yeah, we don't even know where he went. This is where Yoriichi looks down and says, interesting. I guess he actually could be smart a little bit. Maybe a genius, but sadistic a little bit. She then grins to herself saying, interesting. This is where, well, we go into mostly the brown hair boy managed to get out of there. Of course, eat some ice cream before kind of getting home after a while. Like, he just ditched the whole day and decided to go home. When he went home, we go into mostly, so while mostly Issei went back home to kind of just see his parents, he does kind of get there, but this is where, well, what he sees is his house being burned down, and of course, seeing his, well, supposedly parents no one to be seen, until he sees a guy land right in front of him. A guy with blackish hair, longish blackish hair, reddish eyes, and mostly skin that looks like he did crack for so many years. This is where he has 10 black wings behind him, and this is where he has such a grin on his face, saying, no, you must be that boy that has that strange power inside you. Tell me, boy, do you know what a sacred gear is? Issei looks at mostly Kokuba confused, but this is where for some reason he saw something into the future, which he didn't understand fully, but he kind of knew what a sacred gear is now. This is where Issei says, what is a sacred gear? Issei looks confused, but he already figured out after a while. This is where almost the person grins and says, oh, you will never know because you will die. This is where he stabbed Issei into the chest with a light spear, and this is where Issei goes, tuh! Issei falls down to the ground. Issei says, well, before the light spear, does stab into him. Well, this is where, well, Issei was falling down, right now dying slowly. And this is where, well, he didn't really have a sacred gear inside him. You see here, the power that mostly Kokuba felt was not a sacred gear. Even if the supernatural felt this, they were expected as a sacred gear, but it's not a sacred gear. This is where someone says, oi, kid, you really going to let that man kill you? That sucks. But we thought we found a strong vessel for us to actually mold and become strong in the future. This is where, well, a group of people were talking, but they were all in black figures, so of course you can barely see any of them. This is where, well, someone with mostly blondish hair actually walked up to Issei. It was a black figure before he walked into the light between Issei and him. This is where he had blondish hair, longish blonde hair, with greenish eyes that looked to be kind of jade color. This is where, well, he looked down at the boy. He had a white kind of clothing and other things. And this is where, well, he kind of went down to give his hand straight to the boy, saying, we will not let you die. You see here, you will be the future. You will be the key. You will be the one to surpass everyone. You are a Sternritter. Not just a Sternritter. You are now the new Sternritter, the strongest Sternritter to ever live. Since you will have all our powers. Now give me your hand, boy. It's time for you to fight back. We will not let these pathetic creatures, crows, fallen angels, devils, or any other race defeat us. We are humans. We are elite humans. We will not let such pathetic races try to kill us. This is where Issei looks up at the person and decides to give his hand to the person, like slowly, and of course the person takes his hand. This is where, well, we'll see the person has a gentle smile. Good. Now, I will show you my power. My power is the balance. This is where, well, mostly we go into mostly Issei waking up. Before mostly Kokuba can even leave, this is where, well, he felt this weird energy power exploded from Issei. Issei turns around and kind of looks at mostly, well, Kokuba. But this is where Issei's eyes are mostly multiple kind of like brownish dot eyes around his eyes. And this is where Issei looks at mostly Kokubil. Kokubil says, "Huh? You're not dead?" The whole inside Issei's body right now started glowing blue before just disappearing. This is where, well, it just became back into his normal chest. This is where, well, Issei looks at Kokubil and says, "That was very cheap shot, you know that?" This is where, well, mostly Issei started talking like an adult, no longer a kid. This is where, well, Kokubil scoffs and says, "Whatever, brat. You're not dead. I guess I'll kill you this time." He sends multiple light spirits straight to Issei. Issei pulls out a shield out of nowhere. This is where, well, he says, "La balance. It's time for you to get misfortune, while I get your fortune." This is where, well, before the spirits can even smash into Issei, they all disappear and reappear right in front of Kokubil. Kokubil widens his eyes and they all stab into him. This is where, well, he just wasn't expecting something like this. This is where Issei right now walks up to Kokubil with a broadsword that actually appears in his like right hand, made out of mostly like this bluish energy. This is where, well, Kokubil gets up and says, "Why, you little brat!" He makes his own spear, but this is where Issei dodges swiftly. This is where he then stabs into Kokubil's chest. Kokubil goes, "Ugh, damn you!" This is where he then tries to stab underneath him to try to take Issei's head, but Issei dodges and blocks it with his own sword, pushes it up, and then slashes him down. This is where, well, Kokubil right now just cough up even more blood, because seems like he was having good fortune until that shield right now made him have misfortune. So of course the sword was able to cut him. This is where, well, mostly Kokubil say, "Damn it." He started sending more powerful light spear, made a huge light spear, and launches straight towards Issei. This is where Issei didn't know this, but he activated another ability, something called Miracle. This is where, well, Miracle right now allows him to become stronger in an instant, because the light spear did smash into him, but he became stronger, much more powerful, and much more faster. This is where, well, he broke the ground in an instant and appeared right in front of Kokubil, sending his broadsword straight towards Kokubil's neck, right now stabbing into it. And this is where, well, he then kind of just used the broadsword to slash down, all the way down towards Kokubil's, like, mostly, yeah, you get the point. Mostly to his, like, family jewels, to cut him apart. Well, cut him into two somewhat. This is where his head was still intact, but this is where Issei swing his sword. Even though it got in heavy, he still swing his sword straight into mostly Kokubil's neck to cut it apart. This is where Kokubil was now dead. Issei was now breathing out really heavy. He feels like he falls down to the ground. This is where he stabbed the sword down to the ground so he can actually not fall down fully. And he says, that took a lot." This is where he passed out. But this is where, well, mostly that happened, but someone actually kind of didn't notice this whole situation. This is where, well, mostly those people who were around this place right now saw the barrier breaking, and of course, where, well, we go into a time skip because the cops are kind of called to it should be shown. The sword and shield disappeared, but this is where, well, Issei had a massive kind of like rip torn on his chest, and this is where, well, no one could understand. So of course they realized that Issei's parents were dead. There was black feathers, and everyone just thought it was a burglar that came in with black feathers or something. They really could not tell. But of course we go into a time skip now. A time skip of mostly, well, after the incident. This is where, well, Issei woke up after a while. After kind of realizing what happened, he started crying, realizing his parents were killed just because some fallen angels thought he had power. Which he does, but it's not sacred gear. This is where, well, he was crying. This is where, well, someone in his head says, "Calm down there, boy. If you want to get stronger, you will have to train and learn each of our letters. Learn how to use them. Properly become stronger. Have an army. Create an army of elite humans. To one day get revenge on the supernatural world." That's what it's called. The supernatural world. Do you want to get stronger? Do you want to become the strongest human ever? To show what these, well, so-called supernatural beings are. What they mistakenly made. This is where, well, mostly Issei couldn't understand where he was from until he just said, "Yes, I want to become stronger." Then you will start to become a Quincy. This is where, well, Issei didn't understand what Quincy meant, but he decided to like the name of it. He's no longer a human, which he is a human, but he's now a Quincy. This is where, well, he then has a smirk on his face and says, "I will become the strongest. I won't let any other humans die." Just for mostly the supernatural satisfaction. This is where, well, mostly the person in his head smiles and says, "Good. let's start then. We go into a time skip. A time skip of mostly the brown haired boy actually becoming, well, 9 years later. 9 years later, the brownish haired boy actually has mostly, instead of having brownish hair, he has white hair would tend to kind of like black a little bit underneath his hair, but not the point, because on top of his hair is like a white patch. His eyes are somewhat goldenish brown, which, yeah, they're somewhat, because at the same time it becomes either turquoise, kind of blue, green, or some other color, but yeah. But this is where, it sometimes also becomes red, but this is where, well, he is just walking towards his new school. His new school is a school called Kuo Academy. You see here, he never actually did want to go to the school entirely. It was the only option for him to go to because, well, thanks to his good ass grades and good ass attendance, well, he could have go to any other school, but the closest school that he had to go was Kuo. He had it to go because for some reason it said had, but this is where, well, like had to go, like you can go here, but you had to go to the school. This is where, well, Issei was always confused, but decided to try to go and apply to another school, which found out that that was completely somewhat illegal. Well, not illegal, but he wasn't actually supposed to be 18, so he couldn't actually choose his own choice because he was still under 17. Even though he has a job for himself, he works at something else, and of course he has paid his own house, but the government still, mostly the state itself, still tells him that he has to go to this specific school. Even though he can go to another school, he also has a fucking car, he has a motorcycle, he can literally drive. He has his own fucking driver's license, but for some reason, they telling him that the closest school that he can go to is this school, Kuo Academy, which it used to be an all-girls school, which he was confused until he found out it was actually a co-ed now. Well, now it was an all kind of gender kind of like school, mostly for guys and girls, which he didn't really want to deal with them, so of course he decided to ask. And of course, he would sue the shit out of the fucking state for the fact that they basically are trying to force him to a school that he doesn't want to go. Because there was another school that was actually pretty far. It was kind of near in between mostly Tokyo and Kuo. And that's where Issei wanted to go there because, well, he kind of had friends going there. And when I mean friends, they're kind of alliances, but mostly, yeah, but that's where, well, Issei was so confused and why he couldn't go. The state tries to mostly get in favor that mostly Issei still needs to go into it, but found out they lost anyway because, well, they had to fight against the balance. This was the balance, and they completely fucking lost. But for some reason, the state still agreed that he still needed to go to Kuo, even though he won like lots of fucking money. He won lots of fucking money, and this is where, well, the state still told him that he still needs to go. This is where Issei was just completely fucking pissed. He would have murdered all of them if it wasn't for the fact that his own like friend inside his body, Jogram, managed to calm him down from ripping and slaughtering all of those fucking idiots apart. This is where, well, it was Jogram and also Uryu to actually stop him from actually doing something crazy. This is where, well, Issei was completely pissed because he noticed some of those people in the state were actually a supernatural being, which was pissing him off because he was going to murder the fuck out of them. But this is where, well, he decides to kind of, well, make one of them punch the shit out of him like supernatural. And this is where, well, Issei kind of just only did this so he can actually kind of do something. He licked his own blood, and this is where slowly that guy was slowly dying. He didn't understand what was happening. But this is where Issei starts walking away. He was grinning to himself. At least he gets to kill one of them. This is where, well, Issei starts walking away. And this is where, well, mostly Jogram's, well, mostly Uryu says, or not Uryu, mostly, yeah. Uryu? Fuck, is this Uryu? I think it's Uryu. Uryu says, Issei, was that really necessary? This is where Issei kind of grins in his face and says, yes, it was, it's very necessary, Uryu. Jogram sighs and says, that was completely unnecessary. You did not need to do something like that. Issei says, no, I didn't. He would just slowly die and fall down some stairs and die after that. You used the balance on him again. Oh, how can you not? Well, how can I not? He's a supernatural being. I hate those type of people. Well, we're going to Kuo Academy. I don't know much about it. It could be full of supernaturals. For all we know, if that's the case, I'm killing them. This is where Issei said. This is where people in his head says, hell yeah, let's do it! For the Quincy race. Let's murder the hell out of them. This is where, well, mostly Jogram and even Uryu says, you're not helping, mostly You're not helping Gerard. That's where, well, Gerard just scoffs and says, let the kid just do whatever. This is where, well, we'll see. Issei says, yeah, let's go with Gerard's plan and murder them. This is where Grammy says, I don't really care exactly what we do, but if we can just use imagination to kill them, I mean, I'll be happy. This is where Oskin, who is actually the guy who actually uses kind of lick his blood, I think his name is Oskin. Oskin says, huh, at least the kid actually used my own ability to lick his own blood and kill that fucking supernatural. This is where mostly Joe, Graham, and Nudu are the only ones who are actually a decent kind of human, well, Quincy beings, who are not just insane and killing the supernatural. This is where, well, two others were kind of just quiet. This is where, well, mostly Issei said, still, are you actually wondering one thing? This is where, well, mostly Joe Graham says, are you thinking about those girls that you met when you were younger? No. This is where Issei said, clearly not. What I'm actually thinking is mostly why the supernatural hasn't attacked me anytime soon when I literally kill, what was his name? This is where, well, mostly Uryu, Joe Graham, and mostly the others. Grammy says, I think his name was mostly something called Cokebill. If you can remember right, we did kind of met some fallen angels one time, and they said that there was a fallen angel named Cokebill that was like mostly 9 years ago that happened between that death point of his and yours. That is true. It could be Cokebill. Whatever his name is, I didn't care too much. Well, other than that, I mean, if the fallen angel race hasn't actually tried to attack me, or they have noticed me and they just didn't want to fight me, I'll be okay with all that. I mean, if they want to fight me, I'm gonna wipe their fucking race from existence. This is where, well, mostly yeah, I'm fucking up. Gerard, Grammy, and Oskin says, hell yeah, let's do it. This is where, well, mostly Joe Graham and even Udu says, god damn it. But we go into mostly a time skip of him going to school, to Kuo. Now, you see here, he isn't wearing the fucking school uniform for one reason. Fuck it. What are they gonna fucking do, arrest me for this shit? Yeah, he doesn't care. He's literally just walking into school with not the school uniform. He's wearing a white shirt with mostly a black, well, mostly a white kind of jacket that matches up with his white hair. His eyes are right now darkish blue. One is darkish blue, the other one is kind of reddish. He actually wants to look kind of scary enough so he can scare the shit out of people. And of course, wear, well, white kind of pants and other things. But yeah, this is where, well, we'll see. Issei doesn't need to wear something like this, but whatever. He wants to blind people or just scare them because of his eye color. This is where, well, mostly Issei thinks, maybe I should have picked actually a different eye color now that I think about it. Complete black? No. I don't really care. This is where, well, mostly a bunch of girls start screaming, saying, is that a new prince of ours? This is where, well, Issei was like, prince? Where? Issei looks behind him and sees no one. Huh? This is where a bunch of girls rushes up to him and says, are you a new student? Blah, 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 blah. This is where Issei says, oh my god, I'm getting a headache from all this shit. This is where Grammy says, I think you should just imagine the power to shut them all up. This is where, well, we'll see. He says, I'm thinking of doing that. This is where Joe Graham says, Issei, fine. Can you all shut the hell up? Issei literally just told them all at once. This is where all of them shut up after a while. Issei said, God, I just came to this school just because I had no other fucking choice. Can you all shut up for God, can you, damn it. Why do I have to go to this stupid school? This is where, well, Issei walks up past him, and this is where the girls were kind of shocked because he's clearly more violent. Even though he looks kind of nice and other things, he's not. This is where, well, Issei is nice, but he is not nice enough to deal with girls' fucking horniness. This is where, well, mostly he says, like, oh, it's so annoying. Whatever. He then kind of goes to mostly class, but yeah. But for right now, I gotta leave it off here because I gotta kind of go do something about the net by soon. Yeah, I might be able to record later, but right now I can't because I gotta go help someone with damn tests. Yeah, tests. Algebra tests. I don't remember anything from algebra. Well, I do, but thanks to modern fucking math, they have to change it. But yeah, other than that, bye soon, yeah.